and they're both gone. So the two top teams that were predicted to go to the World Series from the NL are gone. If you had to guess, who do you think in the NL goes to the World Series?
All right,
Now.
so I'm gonna say this. Like anytime, like I said, I used to watch Pittsburgh baseball, and anytime they saw the Cardinals, it was just like that was
what?
every time that was just it.
Oh,
okay. The Cardinals period would win.
Right.
So there's something about them that consistently lets them get to like
St. Louis in the playoffs is so different.
Yeah, I know, it's super weird. They can have like, oh, we'll just hit the wild card, but after that, look out, we're coming.
Yeah, they turn it like I remember the only time the Nats have faced the St. Louis in the playoffs, even though they've both been in the NL. The only time they faced them in the playoffs was the first year the Nats ever went to the NLDS, and we survived the game.
Drew Storen?
Yeah, so we were gonna go to the NLCS, but we brought in a closer who was the biggest choker in Nats history, and he completely choked away the last.
I don't know. You had Papelbon at one point.
That's true. But that was more recently. I'm talking back in 2012. And in 2012, we had Drew Storen, and he choked away the entire series to the Cardinals, and they went on. Now, we took it to Game 5, granted, but that was an entirely different team, both sides of the ball, I'm sure. So, the Nats, I mean, they have kind of a small history, I guess, in that aspect, but we don't really have a history of playing the Cardinals too much. We only played them 7 games this year. So I think it's going to be a game where you look at the series and you go, the Cardinals on paper probably don't have the same talent in starting pitching the Nats do. Mm-hmm. They have equal to or even considerably better in hitting that the Nats do, though. Their bullpen is better because the Nats bullpen is still the worst in the postseason. It's bad. Period. It's real bad. But they didn't have to use it in this. That's the thing. That was the difference with the Dodgers and the Nats. The Nats didn't have to use their terrible mid-relief pitchers because their starting pitchers carried them every game. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, in a 7-game series, if it goes more than 4, that's not going to be an option because your starting pitchers can't play back to back to back to back to back to back to back. You just can't do it that many times. And if it goes 7, that's even worse for the Nats. They want to end this series fast. They don't want to go 4, or they don't want to go 5, 6, or 7. They want to go a sweep. Obviously, you always want to sweep, but that is if it goes more than 5, I think the Nats lose because they have to probably rely on a terrible mid-relief bullpen. And unless it just magically changes from that 5.8 ERA it had in the summer, it's just going to be bad.
So what you're saying is they need to finish this 4 or 5.
I think if
6 and 7's dangerous.
Going 6 is very dangerous. Going 6 is extremely dangerous. Going 7 is near impossible unless some miracle happens and they can take a picture out. Like they're like, say like one of the first 3 games, one of their team just gets up like 5-0, 6-0, and they can bring up the starter out early, right? And they have such a big lead they don't have to worry about that game. If that happens, they probably would get a free game. But that's not likely to happen against a team that hits as well as the Cardinals. So, of course, their pitching is not as great as starting pitching, but their bullpen is better, and so they are going to be less afraid to bring out their starting pitcher and put in their bullpen than the Nats will, and they know that, and they're going to play it like they want to. They're going to want to stretch this series out. That's what they're hoping to tire out the Nats starting pitchers to the point where they have to bring in their bullpen.
I feel like if I'm the Cardinal, like if you can get through the first pitcher for the Nats, first starter and the second starter, so that'd be Matt.
Strasburg just pitched, so it'd be Max, Strasburg, and Patrick Corbin.
Well, yeah, no, but what about Scherzer? Is Scherzer not on the second spot?
Scherzer will probably pitch game 1 because Strasburg just pitched.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is if Scherzer pitches game 1,
right,
Strasburg will have that a couple of days rest.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll probably be like, I bet it would be Scherzer then Strasburg, but I feel like if the Cardinals can get through those 2 with 1 win,
yeah,
the Nats are in.
Oh yeah, I think if they don't the hardest part is obviously the thing that's going against the Nats the most here is the fact that they have to start in St. Louis. And then that hasn't been the biggest factor this playoffs because road teams are having surprisingly big luck in the playoffs this year so far, except against the Yankees because they dominated their season or their sweep.
Is
but
their field like one of the best pitchers fields besides Kansas City?
It is. But I think what the Nats' biggest problem is they're going to have to the first two games with their top two pitchers are going to be a bit tired because they have pitched a lot. That's how they got through the NLDS because they had to go pretty much close to 7 innings every game. So
now you got the 7-game series. So
and now you have now you have a 7-game series in which you pretty much have to do the exact same thing you just did, except that's even longer. So it like you said, if they get one win, the Nats are going to be in trouble. They're going to have to sweep their 2 games in DC and hope they can steal one away. Because I don't actually know. I forget how the 7-game series. Do they go once they go from their 2 games at home on both sides? Do they go back and forth and back and forth?
Whoever has home field advantage, first 2 games are there. Then the second 2 games are at the other team, and then they alternate the last.
Okay, so I was right.
Well,
so it's back and forth
so,
until the
now
last
that's
3.
so weird because I think what is it? The NBA used to do. I mean, they still might do it, but it's like somebody's got their system messed up. I'm pretty sure it's the NBA because the NBA used to do 2-2, 1-2, or it'd be 2, 3, and then 2.
Right.
I'm like, somebody's messing this up because the way MLB and NHL do it is the right way. It's supposed to be 2, 2, then alternate.
Yeah, it does make sense that way. It's more fair. But like I said, if the Nats can take 2 at home and take 1 from St. Louis, I think they win. However, if they go split it down the middle like they did with the Dodgers, I think St. Louis is gonna.
They're in trouble.
That St. Louis has the longevity factor where their bullpen can bail them out their starting pitchers. The Nats don't have that luxury. So the Nats bats have been. I mean, they've been good-ish, but they've been really bad during a lot of the early innings.
Is it Rendon?
Yeah. Rendon, yes.
I mean, pretty sure he's been crushing it.
Well, he had been really quiet this series to the last 2 games, and then he kind of turned it up. Like, he had 3 hits the game 5, and then he had 2 the game before that.
I heard he closed out the season.
He closed out the season really bad.
Really bad?
Oh yeah, no. For the last 2 to I think the last month or so, maybe a little less, he had been 5 for 40 or something. He was in the low. His average dropped 20 points.
Oh dang.
Yeah, so I mean he was struggling the end of the season, but now he's come back a little bit, and hopefully that's the last 2 games have brought back his confidence or whatnot. But you can definitely see the difference in where the Nats are they're gonna want to win early, and I think they're gonna attack the Cardinals in a way they're probably not gonna be used to, almost like the Braves kind of did. But the Braves had a whole different scheme and stuff for that game.
They had
a lot of different ideas, and none of them worked. But the Nats are gonna want to win this series as fast as possible. That's my take on it, at least.
I mean, I get it. It makes sense.
Because you don't want to have to use tired starting pitchers, and your bullpen, when you know is really bad and you can't use your starting pitchers for 7 innings, you're going to have to go to it. You're going to have to score runs. And the one thing the Nats have struggled at least besides the last 2 games, is scoring runs early in games. They've been doing better late game like they always have the whole season, but early, the first 7 innings of a game, they basically have 3 runs in the last 3 games.
I mean, if that's the case, it sounds like if the Cardinals put up 10, the Nats are in trouble. I mean, if
they have to go to their bullpen at all, and the Cardinals destroy the bullpen, the Nats are gonna lose that game probably.
All right,
but then you go to the ALCS, and it's a little different considering the Astros are still winning this game 4-1, and it doesn't look like they're gonna lose it. But
right now it's actually top 4. There's a man on first. So,
okay.
That game's still, it's still so early. It's only 4th inning.
Right.
We've seen big innings lately, so I would not put it past anyone.
But I would say, given how it probably, if Houston holds on and they face the Yankees, who do you think wins that? 'Cause that's a toss up to me.
I mean, I'm no baseball expert, but I think because the Yankees Park is a pitcher's park, yeah, because it's a lot deeper to hit home runs.
Yeah.
Which I mean, the Yankees are super good at home, aren't they? Right? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they had, I think, the
It-
best AL home record. I could be wrong.
So I mean, in that case, then if I think about it, I think honestly, yeah, they'll hit bombs, but are they really going to be able to like keep that up? Because thing is with hitting home runs, like when I was always taught playing baseball, you hit for average. If you hit for average, so like the higher your average is,
Uh-huh.
the more of a chance you have of scoring,
Right.
right? So if you have 2-3 guys hitting 400, that's 1 for 3. There, sorry, 400. can't even do math.
Yeah.
If you're hitting, so if you're 4 for 12, right?
Right.
That's still. How am I trying to do? Whatever. Now, get what I'm saying though. 400. If you're hitting 400
Right.
versus a guy who's hitting 200 but hitting 2 jacks, so 2 for 10, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I've got more consistent runs if I've got three people hitting above 330.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what the Astros do versus the Yankees,
Right.
like home run hitters. But the thing is, the Yankees' averages are really high still for
Yeah,
hitting that many bombs.
that's true.
So it's still like Dan's not here, so he could give you a true
Yeah.
lowdown on it. But I feel like I know Dan would say it's going to go 7 games, but I feel like you said, if a team takes over, if who's the first seed? Is it still the Astros or is it
The Astros are still first.
Astros.
So I feel like if the Astros take 1 game in New York, I think the Astros.
I don't see how the Yankees pitching can compare to the Astros pitching. I know they have good pitchers, like the Yankees won as many games as they did without good pitching, but the Astros pitching is just so much better. And given that, like you said, Yankees Park is kind of. I mean, I know the Yankees hit a shit ton of home runs this year.
They just hit bombs. Like
They just every game was just massive amounts. But even given that, I don't see how, especially in the playoffs, how it's going to be where, with how good pitching can be and how shut down a starting pitcher can be, how the Yankees are going to do against an Astros pitcher who doesn't give up home runs that often in Yankees Park.
Given
Given
last week
that
I
it's
was
a-
looking at some stats, just like head-to-head stats
Yeah.
for the Yankees batters. The Houston batters versus Yankees pitching had a
Mhm.
higher average than the Yankees batters as Houston's pitching.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I mean, if Houston keeps that trend up, I mean, and it's baseball, and the thing is with
Anything can
baseball, it's like
happen, yeah.
anything happens. You can flip a coin, one day they'll be on, the next day.
Yeah.
So
Very
it's
true.
entirely it's
I think
This
the Yankees
probably
will
gonna be
get.
one of the better of like baseball. Sometimes has like blowout series. I feel like this is gonna be a better series. Houston wins this. I feel like if
Probably.
Tampa Bay wins, like just say Tampa comes back.
That would be wild.
We're
If
still-
Tampa
we're
has
still-
to, if Tampa does win this game and they face the Yankees, I don't give
They're
the
getting
Tampa.
blown out.
I don't give Tampa a chance. They just don't have the. They don't have the hitting to compete with the Yankees. They might have the pitching to compete with them, but they don't have the hitting.
They do not have the.
And I mean,
I feel like you're. I don't give Tampa a single, like. There's like a light at the end of the tunnel, but it's so small they can't even fit their pinky.
I mean, they said the same thing about the Nats' chances to beat the Dodgers, so anything
Oh.
can happen.
But yeah, but when you put Kershaw in and he chokes, then what do you want?
Yeah, I mean, crazy. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure the management for the Yankees is a little bit better than that.
Well, I mean, we'll see. We will see. Yeah, they
Yeah,
didn't
so
really
I
have
say-
much competition their first series this year, or the ALDS. So we'll see how it goes in the CS.
I say I think in the CS, the ALCS, if the Astros split with the Yankees in Houston,
Yeah,
but then Houston gets a game. I feel like if Houston gets a game in New York
right.
when they play their 2 home games, I think Houston comes out with. Because I
Yeah.
don't think Houston just loses home games like that.
No, they don't. It's very. I mean, just watching, this game even on mute, you can tell this crowd is very torched to win a World Series again.
The Tampa's already throwing in their backups.
Yeah, I mean they already took out their starting pitcher. They're
Yep.
throwing everything they have at this because they know how hard it is to win here. So I mean, clearly it's gonna be hard for the Yankees, but I think they might get favored once at home. I'm not sure if they will be, but I think Houston will get favored throughout the series, and I can't see the Yankees having the depth to compete with the Astros' depth that they have.
Their starting lineup
It's
is so
just
good.
so hard to stop. I mean, just the first three batters are just basically like murderer's row, pretty much. Even though they're like murderer's row for like hits and not home runs.
That ball, it's the murderer's row for the ball. That ball's
Exactly,
gone.
just the ball. It doesn't even it doesn't have to be a home run. They just hit it wherever they want to, and you saw it if you watched the first inning of the Tampa Bay game. You saw the first four batters all got hits on the Astros against the Tampa's best pitcher. So, I mean,
Yeah, it's definitely it's gonna be. This is why I don't watch baseball at all. Sometimes I don't like. I don't like just watching.
right.
That gets. But where I do live, I'm close enough to the Nats Park where if I wanted to, I could if
Yeah.
I really wanted to.
Right.
Matt?
Well, okay, we didn't really ask you, Cole. What do you think, though?
For Yankees Astros,
Both of them, honestly.
if that's a turnout.
Yeah.
I think just the pitching
The
will
pitch.
get them through it.
Okay. Okay.
Plus, they have home field advantage, so I don't see it with the Yankees
that does
at
help.
all.
All right, so what do you got? Who do you have in the NLCS then?
Nationals.
All right. Going with the
Dan.
hometown
I'll
team.
say this much: Dan did pick the Nats.
He said
almost
Nats
immediate.
versus Astros, right? Or
Yeah.
no, Nats versus
he said Nats
Yankees.
versus
He said
Yankees.
Nats Yankees.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay, that's
he
true.
did. So I will give Dan that.
I'll give him
definitely
credit. He
called
did
them.
pick the Nats over the Dodgers.